So good morning and welcome to the August edition of Headtalks. You're in for a special treat this month because it's me talking instead of just trying to rope you all into it. So my talk today is called Kraken, Agile Marketing. So it's a bit different to the subjects we normally have at Headtalks, but hopefully you'll all still enjoy it. So I did this talk last month at Agile on the Beach. So it's the same talk replicated, but I probably will ask slightly different questions. So who in the room would consider themselves agile? I was going to say, that's not a lot of hands for head forwards. That's a big problem.
We're not that agile.
Yeah. Okay, so who's heard of agile marketing? Cool, great. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. So feel free to ask any questions at the end, or if you want to tweet any to me during the talk, my handle is at Lyssa-Crump. Click. Okay. Oh gosh. Bear with me. I had massive technical issues at Agile on the Beach as well when I did this. The screen projector kept cutting off and I started doing some interpretations of the GIFs that are about to come. So hopefully I won't have to do that for all of you, because me trying to be a Kraken was interesting in front of lots of people.
Go on.
Sorry, bear with me. I might just change the batteries quickly. Or shovel them about. Okay, I've got a finger, I can use that. So, my name's Lyssa, as some of you will already know, and my job at Headforwards is Catalyst of Disruptive Innovation. What the hell does that mean, right? So I'm head of marketing, I'm involved with business development, recruitment, and team happiness, as you'll know from those lovely happiness surveys and other things that we do. So today I'm going to talk to you about my journey with Agile. I started adopting Agile 5 or 6 years ago before I came to Headforwards. So I'm going to tell you about my journey, some failings and some things that went well, and hopefully you'll get a sense of what it's like to be involved in Agile marketing. Spoiler alert though, I love cephalopods. So they do feature quite heavily in this whole presentation. So did you know that cephalopods, which are squids and octopuses and cuttlefish, they're regarded as the most intelligent of the invertebrates, which is something I'm sure we can all relate to. Being intelligent, not spineless, obviously. So I've spent many years working in marketing and business development. Used to spinning plates and wearing lots of hats, but as I'm sure you can all know, that gets really overwhelming and quite stressful. How do you prioritize when everything's a high priority? So I started my Agile journey, as I said, 5 or 6 years ago when I was the sales and marketing manager at an e-commerce and manufacturing company. The company was growing really rapidly and I was working across many departments, which can be quite demanding. I also have notoriously high standards that I hold everyone else to as well as myself. So how do you make life easier while still keeping your high standards and being efficient? You adopt Agile. Yeah. Take a moment to be amused by the gifts, that's good. It makes me happy. But at the beginning of my Agile journey, I was the only person in my company, in my department, or trying to be Agile. The first thing I did for myself was introduce a board, but actually at this time I didn't know what Kanban was. That was a term I had never heard of. I did my morning stand-ups, but I did them on my own. Did you know that squids are also normally really loners in the water? Yeah. But luckily my team started to grow quite quickly and we all embraced the board and we found it to be a really useful tool for all of us. But I still couldn't get buy-in from the rest of the company, which is a really common problem with Agile adoption, not getting buy-in from the top, and it was something that I really struggled with. However, even without the buy-in, Agile was still solving problems. There was visibility of the work being done. And I'm sure we've all worked with people who have asked for evidence of what we're doing, and Agile can really help you show what you're doing, what's been done, and what you're about to do. It also works when you're approached with the can you just tasks. Yes, I can do that, but these are all the other things I'm meant to be doing. Which one is going to have to take a step back so we can get this done? And it really opens you up to having those clear communications with other people and help them see that you're not just being difficult by going, no, it's right. We have to reevaluate everything that's happening. Adopting Agile also really helped our team with prioritization. It enabled me to not just do the smaller tasks, which are generally easier wins, but to start to tackle the bigger mountain mammoth tasks. We would estimate our tasks in this department. We gave ourselves 100 hours for the month, which would also give us time for emails and phone calls and all those other dailies. And on each card, we'd write how long we estimated it would take. We also color-coded the tasks so we could see which areas we were spending more time on. We still had so many last-minute issues to deal with, but this really helped us with better prioritization. Did you know that cephalopods only live for like 1 or 2 years? They have a really short lifespan. So even the giant Pacific octopus only lasts for a maximum of 5 years. So you think they're growing from such a small size when they're born, out of these little eggs, and they're growing extremely fast to reach adult size. The company I was at during this time really felt like that. It was going through rapid growth right from conception. We were trying to learn fast and respond to the market, but as a business, we were actually being incredibly agile, even if the people weren't embracing the philosophy. At this time, I was managing many departments, including the warehouse and the manufacturing. We started using visual radiators out there as well, so we could track different things, including how many parcels were being tracked by an hour. This could have easily come across as like we were checking up on them, but it really wasn't that. So we were trying to make sure they all had the tools to succeed. So, for example, hey, Jim, how come you didn't get any parcels packed between 11 and 12 today? You're like, oh, well, we ran out of bubble wrap, so I had to drive to Carter's and buy some. That's the sort of thing that should never happen, having them taken away from their task to go to do something that's quite menial. So having that clear communication and open visual radiators and talking to each other, we can put things in place to make sure that's not happening and that they have the tools they need to succeed in their job rather than being hindered by other things that should be in place, which I'm sure is something we can all relate to even though we're not working in a warehouse. Yes? No? Maybe? Cool. 2 years ago, I moved to another company, Headforwards. I'm sure you all recognize this. What a happy bunch. For those of you that don't know what this photo is about, we won some awards recently, including Most Dynamic Growth and Winner of Winners. So we all had a lovely celebratory barbecue outside and a bit of champagne and posed for some pictures, which I'm happy about because I use them in marketing a lot. So Headforwards is a really agile company, as you all know, having embraced it as a philosophy as well as the tools and practices. I learned about Scrum here, which was completely new to me. Who knows about Scrum? Just eating as well, sorry. Had your hands up with your food. In Scrum, you have sprint planning, where you plan work for, say, a 2-week sprint, and as a team, you agree times for each user story or card task, and then nothing new is meant to be added into the sprint. So I'm sure I'm telling you guys what you already know, but bear with me, it was already in the talk. If you work in sales and marketing or business development, it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to plan your week for a week or 2 weeks because you have so many drop-in tasks that are really urgent and you have to reprioritize everything you're doing for them. So we plan work strategically, and working in a Scrum-ish way is really great for that, but up until now, we've not been able to work in fixed sprints. Because, surprise, a last-minute task has come in. Examples of this be, can you record a quick soundbite for a podcast, or can you get this press release out, or, things that have a time-sensitive nature, we have to be quick to respond. So, the deadline's in 5 minutes. It's an exaggeration, but not a massive one. So how do you combat that? In joining Headforwards, I was back to the solo stand-ups. Love this GIF. I feel like I could just have that as my screensaver all day. There were 3 people in my office, but we were all working quite separately. And Headforwards was and is growing rapidly. In the last 12 months, we've grown from 57 to 100 people. That's rapid growth. And subsequently, recruitment's become quite a big part of what I do. And it's all done in-house here. So, yeah, as I say, it's a big focus for us. My team has also grown recently, and I'm very lucky to have a great bunch of lunatics to work with. And I can say that because most of them are in the room. It's been a lot of fun, although quite challenging, trying to all go on this Agile journey together when it's been quite a new concept for other people. But I feel like we're really turning a corner and really getting to a good place. So how do we make Agile work for the business team at Headforwards? How? Boards. Lots of boards. So this is the board I was using when I first came to Headforwards, when it was just me doing it on my own. Again, I was allocating 100 hours to the tasks, so I blurred it all out so you can't read the content, but there's numbers in the corners. Then I was doing it in next quarter, next month, this month, and what I was doing then, as well as a blocked and review session. So I was thinking really about the long-term game, like what were we going to do, what's coming up, trying to think really strategically. It gave a really comprehensive view for the task planned. As the team grew, the boards grew too, and how we used it changed and evolved. And I'm really sorry for the dodgy picture, but it turns out we don't often take photos of our boards, and this is the only one we had. And that's because Jenny was really creepy and took it without me knowing. I was like, oh, we've got to have photos of the boards for the presentation. And Jenny's like, well, I took this one. I hope there's not too many other stalky photos of me taken. So many. Oh, great. So we'd evolved to working in swim lanes here. And as you can see, there's significantly more tasks on the board to do. So what we had was work to do this week, work we're doing this week, done, reviewed, and blocked and on hold. And this board over here is the backlog, as you can see in big black letters there. But we wanted to work better as a team. We wanted to overlap more like a Venn diagram of people, like try not to be so siloed. So that would take the pressure off each other, and we could be more agile in our response to tasks. But when you are not siloed, you wear a number of hats. And it can be important to keep track of those tasks. So to make this easier, we color code our tasks. So green is marketing, orange is recruitment, pink's admin, blue's business development. This isn't our board, obviously. It's just quite a cool colored Post-it GIF. I'd be very worried if we had that much to do. This wouldn't work for cephalopods, not because they can't read, but because they're colorblind. Which is really interesting because, as you know, they can change color, like this one's just demonstrating here. And they actually do it with a gene that's similar to the ones in the retina that's actually in their skin. So whilst they can't see what color it is, they can change themselves to match it, which is really quite cool. But there's another story that I really like that's to do with color coding of cards and Post-its. It's one I was told about a software development team who were working as part of a bigger organization that wasn't primarily development, and they ended up being like computer help, tech help, IT support for the whole business. And they were saying that, this is taking up a lot of our time. Like, once we go do that, it takes us ages to get back into what we were doing. And, maybe we're not the best people to be helping people with a printer jam. The business was like, oh no, you're here, you're ready, you can do it, we'll just keep you doing it. And then when they changed to the system of a board and color coding their tasks, and say they had blue for tech support issues, they could clearly show, the powers that be that actually, look, this is how much time we're spending on it, and we're quite expensive tech support. And it made it easier for them to work out the monetary value and the time and the downtime. So they were like, oh, okay, yeah, let's just hire someone in tech support and free you up to do the job we're paying you to do. Just from one simple thing of making it really visual and easy to see, really helped change people's perspectives. So we recently made some more changes to our board. The columns on the left are specific tasks, so areas, so marketing and admin, etc. But when they're in here, no one's claimed ownership of them. Once they come into our work in progress, these are different people's columns. So that's me, Jake and Jenny, Karen and Joe and John. And then again, blocked and on hold and done piles down here. So once you move them through, then it's yours. So again, trying not to silo ourselves right off the bat and see, right, we've got some capacity today, what we're going to do, we're going to take from the top, because it's in priority order over here, and take it and move it over, look at the top row and see which task you were able to complete. So yeah, we would put what we aim to do each day in this column in our morning stand-up and plan not to add anything else new into that. In reality, that rarely ever happened. We would constantly be adding new tasks in throughout the day based on what was happening and changing in the business. It's really important to try and minimize work in progress. It is possible, but I'm really guilty personally of trying to do everything that needs doing, which is in reality a physical impossibility. So every morning, as I said, we have stand-up. Again, dodgy pictures, thanks Jenny. In our stand-ups, we said what we did yesterday, what we're doing today, and what we're blocked on. Often there's a common cause for tasks being blocked, so we might be waiting for feedback from one specific person for 5 different cards. So then you can see if there's a common theme into why we're not progressing with certain things. So blocked on and hold is reviewed every day in stand-up as well. And on Fridays, we'd pull down our done pile and go through them and review and make sure that they were done. And that there were no follow-up actions that had been forgotten to be actioned. We also have a backlog board where the tasks go on forever. So if anyone has any advice about this, let us know. So all our tasks are ranked as in must, should, would, and could, and the most important are over this side. So here's the most important tasks going down into least important, and oh, wouldn't you know, there's none in the least important bit. So the tasks on this board should be pulled through onto the board I just showed you. In reality, we were finding that wasn't happening, and that we were just adding new and new tasks, and then things on this board were starting to stagnate and not happening, which was a bit of a problem. Well, we've been talking about moving to Trello. I love it and use it for lots of other things, but a particular Scrum Master at Headforward said, if you can keep it physical, keep it physical. I couldn't actually find a GIF with that, but I hope you all get the reference. But actually, as of last week, this has all changed. We have moved to Trello. We've got a big TV screen, and we've changed the way we do our backlog, and we've started working in sprints. So ignore everything I just told you for the last 10 minutes. We've changed it completely, which is really interesting because we're on a whole new journey of how we work. We're working in 1-week sprints. Obviously, we still need to add in the new tasks, but we're tagging them with a different thing, and when we're monitoring them, we're pulling out spreadsheets from Trello and seeing how much time and tasks are coming in, and then hopefully we'll be able to plan our time better, knowing that, hey, normally X amount of time needs to be saved for drop-in, so you can plan the rest of your time accordingly. Plan to be able to not plan, if that makes sense. We also have a specific recruitment board. So again, it's color-coded, but they're role-specific. So teal is Python, and blue is .NET, and purple is Perl. We have different columns that they work their way through: applied, review, on hold, test, first interview, tech interview, final interview, offer, and no, which seems really brutal with all the people in it. No, but luckily none of you went in that column. So as I said, we're recruiting really heavily and have been solidly for the 2 years that I've been here. And we're dealing with a lot of applicants at once. So in the last 6 months, for every 1 hire, we've had 61 applicants. So 1 in 61 people get hired. So look at you, you awesome people. Yeah. And on average, we're having at least 5 applications a day. But we do notice the trends on certain days of the week where there's more or less, and different times of year. So actually, August gets a bit quieter because everyone's a bit happier and going on holiday and things. So September, it'll skyrocket. I hope. So trying to manage all these applicants, even with a CRM, is really quite tricky. So this solution of the board I just showed you really helps with people not slipping through the cracks. You know how bad it is if you've applied for a job and you've not heard anything, and we really don't want to be like that. We really want to make it an enjoyable experience and keep you in touch and up to date and in contact with you. You know, but also having the board up there, we'd have lots of regular reviews around the board and check if there's any bottlenecks. So as you've probably all been through the interview process, you know what it's like. You'll have interviews with various people, and it might be that someone's on holiday for 2 weeks. That means that opening is stagnating a bit because we can't get people through. So it's easy to identify that and then put something in place to fix that issue. It's a really clear and visual way of seeing any bottlenecks. And it's also really helpful for seeing if we've just had a surge of applicants in a specific role. We can be like, oh, okay, what happened there? What did we do that worked really well? Or if we notice, oh, there have not been anyone applying for that job in a little while, what can we do to change? What can we do to step up our game? So it's really good indicator of where we're at with what we're doing in a clear visual way that's just on the board. You can just look up and go, better do something about that. But it's not just about Post-its on boards. What else is important? So retrospectives cannot express how important these are. Discuss what went well. And chest bump. Discuss what didn't go well. What can be improved. You know, in Scrum, this would normally be done at the end of a sprint, but we tend to do it at the end of a campaign or sometimes in the middle of campaign. But now we're also doing it weekly in our sprints. Okay, changes in the presentation. The importance of team cannot be underestimated. A functional team is a key aspect of being agile, as I'm sure we all know. When I came to Headforwards, I like to keep work Lyssa and out of work Lyssa very separate. I was like, no, different people behave differently. And it was okay. Like, I still got on with people and I went to all the socials. And as we all know, we have a lot of socials, like the barbecue tonight. Who's coming tonight? Oh, not enough hands up, guys. But then things changed when a very good long-term friend of mine joined the company and just made it so I couldn't really hide my internal weirdness anymore. And now you've all been inflicted with it. I apologize. But it's actually made work a lot more fun for me. And I've bonded with a lot more people because I've opened up a bit more. You know, that helps enable the trust that is needed for us all to perform well. Being vulnerable can really increase team potential. I was going for a good pause, and then I was like, oh, I made it weird because it was too long. Transparency is also important. A lack of transparency can force an agile project to fail. We try to be completely transparent with each other. You know, so how do we do this? We accept that we as a team have limitations. We're not perfect. We accept that there are no hidden priorities, there's no hidden work. Everyone knows what is currently being worked on by the team, and they know what will be delivered. So Scrum, by nature, keeps everything in the project visible to everyone, and I think that is really one of the keys to success with it. And so it's not just me that thinks marketing should be agile. Earlier on this year, I went to the B2B Marketing in Tech conference in London, and there were people speaking like Microsoft and IBM did a talk about why it's time to get agile, and I was like, yeah, catch up, guys. But it was great to hear that it's really infiltrating the rest of the market. And they were also talking about how your sales or business development and marketing should be closely aligned. And this is something I've always really believed in. Having always had a dual role of sales and marketing, it's really key. You've got to really understand the offering and the client, you know, to market it. So having that 360 view of all of it is essential to making it work. Yeah, it's great to see the rest of the tech community finally agreeing with me on this. Forward thinking, see. So does this sound scary? Or does it sound good? Want to run and hide like this Dumbo octopus? Super cute. So here are some things to think about if you're considering trying agile marketing, which I imagine most of you aren't in this room because there's only like 2 other marketeers, but just in case, yeah, change your career path today. If something's not working for you, change it. Think about the cuttlefish's ability to change colour to escape predators or catch its prey. They do this as quick as that. So you should be that reactive as well. Try new things. Agile is not one size fits all, and cliche alert, we have a cliche jar upstairs that we have to put money in if we say things that are cliches. Being agile is a journey, not a destination. That's got to be at least 5 pounds. I say that one all the time. It can be hard to get there, but find a way to make it happen. There's a story I know about an octopus that I really, really love, and I told it at Agile on the beach, and I was a little bit starstruck because someone in the audience knew that octopus and knew more details about the story than me. So the story goes, there's an octopus in an aquarium. And maybe I shouldn't have said about the octopus yet, actually. That might have ruined the story. So there's an aquarium. I don't know, maybe. Clearly messed up the punchline. But anyway, fish were going missing, and they couldn't work out why. And so they had security guards that would walk around at night, and just the tank's fish were going missing. So eventually they set up CCTV, and the octopus was escaping, timing it so he missed the security guard, going across, eating fish, and getting back in his tank without getting noticed. I was like, that's amazing. But then at the end of my talk at Agile on the beach, this girl put her hand up. She was like, yeah, that happened near my university, and it's better than that because his enclosure was actually locked. He was unlocking it, escaping, getting back in, and locking it again. So no one knew. I'm like, this is the best story. This is why I like octopuses. Like, they're really cool. Like, super clever. But yes, back to Agile. Reluctancy is another issue. How do you combat reluctancy? So there's an NLP technique called pace, pace, lead. Sometimes people are reluctant because they're skeptical. So if you just start showing them by doing it, hopefully they'll see that it's working and kind of come along that journey with you. Sorry, journey again. Is it like a fine every time I say journey, or just Agile's a journey? Cool. So yeah, showing them how it works, and eventually they'll come on board. But you need to really make them feel part of the team, like really part of the team. Then they're not going to want to let you down if they feel that bond and that vulnerability. Confront the resistance, not in a Star Trek resistance is futile way, but in a, a kind way. Look at the team member as a person to be understood and not just a problem to be solved. I think that's really key, because sometimes you just see it as a reason why things aren't going smoothly, and you're seeing it as a problem, but actually we're all human beings, we've all got stuff going on in our lives. What's the reason for this not progressing and getting better? It's okay to fail, but fail fast. NLP also teaches us that there's no failure, only feedback, and I really love that. Who was at Agile on the beach here? How fascinating, yeah? Go on, anyone else want to do that, or just leave me hanging with it? I'm on my own. Great. Yeah. So someone that was doing one of the talks was talking about how every time something goes wrong, don't think, oh, a failure. Think, oh, how fascinating that this just happened, and look at it and dissect it. So it's the same thing. There's no failure, only feedback. And Mexican waves. So squids also have an ink sac. So they can release it really rapidly when they want to get away from a situation or something going wrong. And I'm not saying, throw a smoke bomb every time you want to leave a bad meeting, but, probably does. But if something's going wrong, take action now. Don't wait. Fail fast, change fast. The hardest part of my Agile journey has been MVP, minimum viable products. I'm a perfectionist and I have really high standards, so I really struggled with that as a concept. So putting something out there that wasn't quite ready was really terrifying for me. And I'm not even overselling it, it really was. I was like, oh no. But I've put a lot of work into this specific thing and I've got a lot better. A simple example of it might be that we've had a beach barbecue and I want to do a big blog post about it, but I just have no time or capacity. So, hey, you know what? Just put a few photos on social media, that'll do. or something similar. That was a really boring example. I'm really sorry. I do much more interesting things, but that's just a really easy to understand concept. You know, because priorities, there might be other things that I have to do. I might have a conference to prepare for, or, you know, some analytics to analyze, or, you know, a game of laser tag to play. It's been ages. Yeah. Always prioritize laser tag. So MVP doesn't mean sloppy, half-finished work. And I think that's why I really struggled with it, because I saw people giving me examples of it that were sloppy, half-finished work. And it's not that. You know, something with spelling errors and grammar mistakes and no capitalization or punctuation, that's not MVP. That is sloppy work. The Agile Manifesto cites technical excellence and attention to detail as the groundwork for speed. Are you all aware of the Agile Manifesto? Not as many hands as I was expecting there, guys. Or are you just all being shy?
Sorry, is that the winner of it?
Yeah.
Have we read it, or we know it exists?
I'm going to test you all line for line now. Well, my next thing is I was going to say I've come across an Agile Marketing Manifesto, but you might not know the difference judging by the hands up. So, responding to change over following a plan. Rapid iterations over big bang campaigns. So, you know, an example of that would be sort of spending months and months and months planning this big campaign that's on like buses and adverts and TV and all these things that might not work. Like, try little things like, oh, let's maybe run a campaign in a magazine first and see how that goes, and then review that, and then try the next step and review that. So as you'd work in iterations with development, trying that with different marketing campaigns. Testing data over opinions and conventions. So don't just believe something that you think you know. Look at the data. A prime example of that would be when I was saying when I started my Agile journey, who I was working with, we made portable off-grid wood-burning stoves. And they were used by the disaster community, like the aid, not like people celebrating that, and lots of survivalists, and woodmen and bushcraft and things. So people had started to want to buy it, so I was brought on board to make it a commercial entity and sell it and market it to people. And so we had this very clear idea of who our target customer was, you know, Bear Grylls or doomsday preppers, that sort of thing, lots of camo. But actually, as it turns out, we made, we did research and found a new client, which was glamping. So the customers were kind of middle-aged women that were married, that had degrees, but were stay-at-home mums, people that had bunting everywhere, you know. They became our biggest customer base. So we had to completely change our marketing to gear it at them. So we had like kind of two different parallel marketing campaigns. But who would have thought that? They're like, this is for survivalists and hardcore men. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to put it in my bell tent with my bunting. And it's great. And it was such a great product, and it transcended these things. But, you know, using your opinions and conventions could have really stifled our growth and development as a company. Many small experiments over big, large bets. Individuals and interactions over one size fits all, which is very similar to what I was just saying then about the customer's bases. So, and collaboration over silos and hierarchy. So they're all really self-explanatory and, you know, quite possibly sacrilege to the original Agile Manifesto, but I think it really gets the point across to people that might not understand how to go about Agile marketing or why, and I think this really is a clear, concise way of saying what it's all about, in the same way the Agile Manifesto is to developers. So, the word Kraken actually comes from Norwegian. It's a word for an unhealthy animal or something twisted. But also in modern German, Kraken means octopus. It also refers to the legendary Kraken, which I'm slightly obsessed with, as well as cephalopods. I don't know if you've noticed. But if sailors saw the sea gurgling and bubbles coming up and fish surfacing and like a plethora of jellyfish, like they knew that something was up down below. So whilst fleeing sea life would always be precede the Kraken's approach. Sorry. Okay. Their appearance, unfortunately, didn't give people enough time to escape. The monster's great size and tentacles made it really difficult to evade. So what's the story here? Be the Kraken, not the sailor. So what key points would I like you to take away from today? Cephalopods are awesome and very agile creatures. I don't know if anyone watches SpongeBob, but it's great. But on a serious note, get organized. You know, put up a board, have stand-ups with your team, really get to know what each other's doing and how you're interacting. Have retrospectives. Look at what you've done. Did it work? Could it work? Why? Be a team. This takes work, but the payoff is really incredible. You know, take the time to make this happen. Be transparent and honest with yourself, the team, and the clients. That really pays off, and it can be a bit of a scary thing, particularly with clients, to be honest and transparent about what's happening, but they will respect you more and you'll build a greater rapport, and the business development, the business relationship will develop further. React, you know, if something's not working, change it, like look at it, do something different. Can you push it further if it's working well? Address issues quickly and concisely. So if there's reluctancy in your team, don't let it fester or linger or develop. Address it straight away in a non-confrontational way. We're not the Borg. Fail, but fail fast. Refine MVP. Remember, it doesn't mean sloppy work. And enjoy it. You know, it's a rewarding and dynamic way to function as a team and like see quick results. That's what I love. I really love seeing the results quickly for the projects that we're doing and we're working on, rather than waiting 6 months to push something out into the world and be like, has it worked? Has it worked? We can do something and 20 minutes later see what effect it's having, and that's just astronomical. So yeah, enjoy it. Thank you. Has anyone got any questions?
Is it octopuses, octopi?
It's octopuses is the actual effect one. Yeah, octopi is incorrect due to the Latin. No, the internet told me it's octopuses, and the internet never lies.
I heard it on the radio the other day, it's pussies.
It's pussies. Any other questions? Anthony?
At the risk of going into the real technical details, did you ever have problems with post-it notes falling off the board?
Oh my God, all the time, even with blue tack.
That's why I stopped using them.
Particularly as where it's positioned was near the window. So the wind changed direction, it would literally blow them all off, and you're like, what are we doing? Come on, I? Yeah, it's been there too long, so we should just get rid of them.
What's a campaign?
What's a campaign?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's like a marketing project, but based on one specific thing in a specific way. So we'd be running a campaign to hire Perl developers, so we'd think of lots of different ways and different tactics to do it, but it'd be one campaign. There's probably a much better explanation than the one I just gave you, but that'll do. Yeah, Google it. Any other questions? So I got really stumped by one at Agile on the beach that was, so the first question I got asked, someone put their hand up and said, how do you know the sailors didn't escape? I was like, okay. That's what bothered you about my whole talk. How do you know the sailors didn't escape the Kraken? I told him the jellyfish told me, just in case anyone wanted to know how I answered that. Yeah. Or maybe it was people that witnessed from afar. Any other questions? Perfect. Well, thank you so much.